All right, so I would like to welcome everybody in. The I know we did our fantasy football rookie draft back in May. We're just getting around to doing a kind of a draft recap. I got William Kerrigan, the esteemed two-time league champion, with me here. I figured the NBA draft just happened and the NHL draft is happening, I believe, right now. So
Correct.
we are going to do a draft of our draft tonight. So just all the draft content you can get. So um, before we get to that, I do want to leave with a couple of notes, news and notes today. Um, we July is right around the corner, which means the fantasy football season is right around the corner. If you have not looked at the fantasy homepage recently, you will see that the two divisions have been created, and we're excited to bring that in. Remember that playoffs will be six teams, not five teams going forward. So that'll be a ton of fun as we kind of enter a new era of our league. Some interesting. It was really like cool seeing the way that we did the draft this year with the couple live rounds and then the rolling rounds. I thought that was really good to allow for like draft pick trading and thoughtful selections and that kind of thing. So thought that was a fun wrinkle. And going into this year with the divisions and the six playoff teams, I think it'll be really nice. And then of course we instituted the draft lottery, so now there'll be a lottery system for the four non-playoff teams. So I think we did some really good things to curb some of the you know some of the things that have happened in the last couple of years, and to ensure that we have peak competitiveness around the league going forward. So I am pumped. Remember that keepers are due on July 31st. So the keeper date is July 31st. Even if you have texted me like, hey, these are the guys I want to drop and these are the guys I want to add, and your team is set, please designate them as keepers, because once I hit the button, if they're not designated as keepers, the whole thing, like all the roster will disappear. So that's not fun, and we don't want to have to deal with that. So um I know there are a couple of you who are still like contemplating, who do I want to drop, who do I want to keep, what rookies do I want to add. Um, just let me know who you want to keep, who you want to add, and then designate everybody as keepers. It's kind of an arbitrary thing because like pretty much people can tell me who they want to add. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got right now. Um, Anything of note, William, that you can think of?
No, I think I owe you all of that.
Very good.
I'm gonna make the guys sweat it out through
Um,
the spring.
well, we are going to go ahead and jump in. We're doing a draft of our draft. So basically, I'm gonna let William go first here. To say who he would have taken number one. Like who had the best draft this past year
So
in
we're
May.
drafting us. We're drafting
Yeah,
GMs.
we're drafting
Okay.
GMs. Like who are you most impressed with this year in our fantasy draft?
I mean, well, this is
And
shout out to the
I gave grades like like
yeah
school grading for all the
yeah.
players as well. So I'm
I
interested to see
did.
what grades
Oh, to the
you gave.
players.
No, no, not
Interesting.
players, not players, but like to the managers, I gave
To the
grades. So
okay.
yeah,
I did tiers.
okay,
It'll be interesting to see the approaches.
yeah, sure.
This is the shout out to the NHL, the Macklin Calabrini Connor Bedard pick. It seems like a foregone conclusion. I think Dan had the best draft. I mean, how do you not with four picks in the first two rounds? I mean, he understood the assignment. I don't want to toot his horn too much. I mean, it's pretty hard to fumble that ball, although Lee will try. But I think Dan did a great job. So Dan, number one.
So I also had Dan. I gave Dan an A plus, and I don't give
Yeah,
A pluses around very often.
yeah,
I do think what he did, he didn't. Yes, he had a lot of picks, but he also moved around a lot of picks to make it work.
yeah.
Like he Caleb is a Caleb you have to take with his roster. Drake May is the one slight question mark where it's like the fit isn't perfect. He's not a runner, so that limits his fantasy ability. But taking Keon Coleman and then trading up to get Brian Thomas, you know, I think Brian Thomas was a second round pick, and then
Yeah,
he was able to take Blake Corum, who has a chance to play, and arguably the second best tight end in Jatavion Sanders going forward. I
yeah.
really think that he did a really nice job. He had a lot to work with. Don't get me wrong, he had a ton to work with,
He
and
would have
good
had
for
to work
him.
really hard to fumble the draft, and he did
Yeah,
not. So
the
well
one
done, Daniel.
if I'm nitpicking, the one thing that I really liked the idea of stacking Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams,
Yeah,
having both of them together. Now,
yeah.
you reaped the benefit of him deciding to go with Drake May. Um,
He's also
and
got DJ Moore though. So
he
I
does
mean,
have DJ
it's
Moore. So that's,
wait. Does he have Keenan as well?
he
Did you
does have,
trade him Keenan?
I traded
Yeah, just take
somebody,
the entire
I
Chicago
traded
Bears.
somebody, no, I think I traded Keenan to, I think Keenan went to Tim.
Okay, I need to actually pull up
Um,
my rosters.
Well, that's not updated, but yeah. Keenan went to Tim.
Okay,
So that was an in draft trade this year for those of you who weren't paying attention. Um, okay, so yeah, we both go Dan number one. If
yeah,
I'm taking number two, this one's kind of I was surprised that I liked it so much because I'm like kind of the one that is impacted by this. I gave Neil I'll take Neil number two. So
okay,
he didn't have the number of picks, right? He had number
yes,
four in the first round and he traded out of it. But it's about what left the building and what came in, right? So he turned number four into Justin Herbert and then also took Trey Benson, the running back, like really dynamic, big, athletic running back who goes to Arizona. And then I really like the picks of McMillan, Baker, and Johnny Wilson. I think that those, especially somebody who has the track record of finding a Puka Nakua, I really
yeah.
like those three guys as like guys that really, if they settle in, could be dynamic players. So I thought that Neil, despite not having a lot, I mean, he gets to trot out Anthony Richardson and Justin Herbert now, which
Yeah,
wasn't the case, and he wasn't going to be able to get. I mean, if you like Drake May that much, he was available at four, but like somebody who's a proven high end quarterback isn't in this draft at four. So I really liked what he did there, even though I'm the one who sacrificed Justin Herbert to be in that position.
that's big of you. I think.
I
Well done.
try.
Yeah,
I try. I
yeah.
really do. Um,
Um, all right, so I guess I'm back at number three.
you are.
All right, so at number three, I'm gonna shout out our league's newest member, Calvin. I thought Calvin had a very, very strong draft, both in the players he drafted and the Xavier storyline. It entertained the hell out of me for the entire draft. So if for no other, I enjoyed it, and that's what matters to me. So yeah, I think Cal had some nice pieces when he took the helm, and I think he came into his first draft, wasn't bashful about it, had a plan, executed it, and it's good to see, and I'm glad he's in the other division, so that's good
Yeah,
too.
the Xavier storyline was very impressive that he pulled it off.
Yes,
I his he inherited a team that was so heavy on running backs and needed some help at wide receiver. And so, if Xavier Worthy, if he hits in Kansas City, then absolutely Calvin won this draft.
yeah,
Because I mean, if he's able to put a high upside guy like that, who's going to be Patrick Mahomes' best option, then that's
yeah.
huge. Now, you have to wonder a little bit about like the fit of Leggett. But
Just
Corley,
the curse of the Panthers.
yeah, exactly. And then Corley, I mean, if he's in a good situation for now with Aaron Rodgers, we don't know what that looks like long term. Um, so yeah, I think that I gave Calvin. So for the record, I gave Neil an A minus. I gave Calvin a B plus. So I was right there with you. He was among those who's next in line for me too. Okay, picking four. I've got two other people with a B plus, but I'm gonna highlight one of them. Um, I gave Jack a B plus. So I thought that Jack and I were in similar situations where we really could use a dynamic young like quarterback, right? Now he went JJ McCarthy, which I really like for him at the spot that he had. Do I think that JJ's a world beater? No. But can he be a potentially above average quarterback in the league, which is
Yeah,
just what Jack needs? Jack has perennially been in the bottom half drafting in the first round forever. So
yeah,
for him to take JJ McCarthy, somebody, if you're picking in the bottom half of the first round, how often in a super flex league do you get a chance to draft a top 10 quarterback who's drafted in the NFL? It doesn't happen that much in these kind of leagues. So I think he's got to take that. And then he was able to get Ricky Pearsall in the second round, who's a first round NFL player. I think that, like, especially, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen with San Fran, a lot of mouths to feed, but like, he's a
yeah.
dynamic kid. And then his last four picks were all good dice throws if you're going to do them. So I was pretty impressed by what Jack did. Obviously, I would love for Jack to I don't know, make a trade, get involved a little bit with the transactions in the league, but if he's going to sit tight and use his picks, I think he did it to a pretty good clip this time.
Yeah, I had him firmly in my second tier as well, so couldn't agree with you more.
Nice. Who you got number five?
Number five.
And you can take yourself. I'll go ahead and throw that out there.
I'm not going to do that, but I am. Did I hallucinate? No, this is correct. So I went through everyone's picks as we both did. I think I'm the only person who took a non-rookie when I took the Texans D at the very end. I think otherwise, every single person drafted was a rookie, and I don't think that's happened yet in this league. I feel like that's a first, is it not? Am I making that up?
It may be a first. Um,
Albert O didn't get drafted once. I mean, we've got this
no,
could
I
be
know.
groundbreaking.
It's true. It's true. We did have an extra round last year, which, like,
Yeah,
that meant that there were some guys that were taken, but yeah, I think that's probably the first time a regular, a veteran hasn't been taken.
that was cool to see. As I was going back through everything, I was like, wait, this is the only one, and it's at the very end. So shout out to everybody. I'm going to take you at number five. I like to draft. I think similar to I was going back through after I looked at who everyone picked and like reverse engineering what I thought everyone's team needs were. It was very difficult looking at your team to try and poke holes in it. So I think it was a lot of, I mean, not to put thoughts in your head, but it seemed like a good bit of best available, and I think you got a lot of best available. We don't know what Penix will do. The Atlanta situation seems a bit funky, but 3-4 years from now, you could have the entire Falcons backfield, and that could be a lot of fun for you. So I liked the Troy Franklin pick. I was taking him if he fell to me. Um, I don't. I mean, and then why not roll the dice on a McCaffrey brother? So I had you rounding out my second tier, so I'm taking you at number five.
Nice. So I think my draft is very much an eye of the beholder draft. Like, if, through my eyes, I would give myself a solid, very high grade, like kind of where you've got me. Um, I think that the Penix one it's a huge swing where I'm like, hey, like the same thing as Jack. Like, this guy was drafted in the top 10 in the NFL. I
Yeah,
get a chance to take him in the second round. Like,
yeah,
I can't say no to that. Um, I fell in love with Malik Neighbors. I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people about trading draft picks and moving around, and when I started talking to Neil about four, I just I wanted to get some more dynamic wide receivers, because then you have that kind of roster mobility where if you want to trade a wide receiver for somebody, they're always going to have a lot of value
yeah.
if they hit. So I really liked that. I uh I moved up for Troy Franklin. That was the Keenan Allen trade. I wanted to move up. I didn't originally have a pick there. And so I traded with Timbo to move up, and I really liked him, even though he fell in the NFL draft. Kamani Vidal's apparently like a great athlete who could, you know, be somebody for the Chargers. McCaffrey, like I said, McCaffrey, and then I drafted Will Shipley, a couple of white athletes. You know, love that. So we'll see. I think that, I gave actually myself a B minus looking with just complete like no stew colored glasses on this one. So I had myself rated a little bit lower from an objective position, but I really liked my draft and I love that I moved around to make those opportunities.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a good one.
all
Well
right, so
done.
I hate to do this. Um, but I'm gonna have to go with my next. I had one more B plus that wasn't taken, and that was Lee Zabransky.
Hmm,
So I think that I don't love his back half of the draft, but one player can buoy a draft in a big way, right? So like
sure.
Lee, another guy who's, you know, he's got a really good team. He's had a really good team. He's usually going to be a late round guy, but and obviously he lost Patrick Mahomes to get number three, which has to be considered in. But he got Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think that young wide receivers are the best thing you can have in a fantasy football league. And he got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's like, maybe the best wide receiver prospect in a long time.
Yeah,
Um, I think that Jalen Poe, or I think that McConkey has a real chance to be a go-to guy in San Diego, or in for the Chargers. Um, and I really like McConkey. I was like hoping he'd fall to me like 15. He obviously didn't, but Polk has a tough road to carve out in New England. Bucky Irving and Jordan Travis were probably overdrafted. Jordan Travis certainly. Like I don't know that he plays more than a couple of fourth quarter mop ups in his career. Like I just don't see it. But you know, Lee he traded out his last couple picks and wanted to focus on the guys that he has. And so, but you get Marvin Harrison Jr., you get Lad McConkey in an aging
yeah.
roster. I think he's in good shape.
I
So that
like
was
it.
me at number 6. Who's number
All right.
7?
Number 7. Wait, who's off the board? You're off. You're off.
It's you, Tim, Butch, and Mark
Butch and
left.
Mark. Okay. Um, I mean, I'm not picking myself, so let's talk about Timbo.
I was gonna say,
Um, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's not happening. I thought that Tim needed some running back and quarterback help. And I mean, he took care of business straight away. He didn't waste any time. Um, we'll see what Jaden Daniels does. I feel like I'm getting Anthony Richardson vibes, or at least that's what I was getting going into everything. And until Anthony got hurt, and he was absolutely electric. So I imagine Tim's got to feel pretty good. As a Panthers fan, obviously hoping that Jonathan Brooks hits. Um, Also, as awful as the Panthers are in real life, I think we can't understate, at least on this draft, what the Panthers running back room has done. Because, like, as I was putting all this together, the Miles Sanders trades plural,
yeah.
were all over this draft, and I was like, wait, what happened? Oh, right. Um, so hopefully Jonathan Brooks is the answers to our real life prayers, and Tim gets lifted in there. I thought he had a really sound draft. I mean, again, the back half, Spencer Rattler will be selling cars in a few years, and hopefully doing well at that. Bub Means has a cool name, but what can you do when you get into those later rounds? Throw some darts, and I thought Tim had a really good draft.
Yeah, so I had Tim, we're right kind of in the same line. I had Tim getting a B. I think that he crushed. I mean, Jaden Daniels, I think you talk about his upside. His upside is higher than Caleb Williams in fantasy.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't know if he's gonna like hold up because he's a slight guy and he runs a lot and all that, but like that also means he could be an unbelievable fantasy player. So I think that he really hit there. He traded out of the 13th pick, which became Brian Thomas Jr. And I know Tim has a great bevy of wide receivers. Like he's got great starting wide receivers. So I get
absolutely.
that he swung for the fences on running backs a lot. Now, the Jonathan Brooks pick, obviously he's coming off an ACL. He's in Carolina. It's not like it could be a great fit, but we just don't know. I was torn like you. the Roman Wilson pick was good, but there are also some guys like Malachi Corley that you could say like probably have higher upside than Roman Wilson.
Yeah.
Although the word out of camp is that Roman's got a real role to play. And then I thought he kind of went like a little running back heavy in the middle, just like like Ray Davis, Tyrone Tracy. These are guys that like have potential upside, but they're definitely sleepers. Rattler, you just never know. But I mean, I thought that he had a lot of picks. He used them on guys who have a reasonable chance to play. Outside of Ray Davis is the hardest path. He's that pick was a negative in my mind, just like where he took him. But that's it's opinion. If he who knows, he could be a starter in 6 games. So we'll see. But I thought Tim crushed the top end of the draft. I would have liked to see him keep 13. I forget exactly who he got for that, but um I know where was that one? Oh yeah, you got Tyler Lockett and a second next year. And they say that this, next year's draft. I think the next year's draft may be a little bit weaker than this one. So, we just don't know. But um,
And Tyler Lockett is an interesting thing to grab, as good as his wide receiver room is.
yeah, it gives him some veteran depth, but it
Yeah,
was a bit of a head scratcher. Um, okay, well, so
I hear
with
that.
number 8, I am gonna go William. So I also gave you a B. So for the record, I had you and Tim ranked above me in my draft. Um, but I thought that you made, I mean, like I said, I would have, yeah, Rome Odunze, I thought he easily could have been taken fifth to go with Dan. I think he has like, you talk about some of the top wide receiver prospects in years past, and they were like, hey guys, like, the league basically said that the top 3 in this draft would have been the best in the last like couple drafts. And so, I mean, you've got to be excited to have Roma Dunze, even though this year it's a bit of a like, okay, we got to see how his playing time comes out with Keenan and DJ Moore. But Bo Nix is kind of the same way, where it's like, hey, like there's a real chance he's starting
Yeah.
in the second round. If you can get a first round pick quarterback, you do it, So I like that pick. Obviously, we don't know what he's going to be and what Dimmer's going to be, but if they liked him that much, then great. Braylon Allen is huge at running back. Garindo's fast as lightning and goes to San Fran, which like San Fran is a McCaffrey ankle injury away from being anybody's ball club. Um, so yeah, I liked it. I think that your squad kind of like lacks a little bit of the like high end upside, but you were at pick 6. Like, what do you
Yeah.
don't have like anybody after the top 5 to 6 isn't going to have that kind of upside. So I thought you did a really good job. Um, and hopefully Bo Nix wins out that Denver gig, and he's a quality starter that you can have.
Yeah, I'm trying not to read too much of the tabloids because everybody's hyping everybody that they drafted right now. But
Sure,
certainly reading some nice things out there from Sean Payton, who is apparently not a very nice man.
people
Um,
don't like him very much.
yeah, he seems. I'm not sure I like him very much, but we'll see
I'm
what he
not
does
sure I
out
do
there.
either. All right, who
All
you
right,
taking at
so
9?
we got Butch and Mark left
Butch
over.
and Mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Butch. I cannot wait to see. Butch is going to revolutionize the league by trotting out 3 tight end sets. It's going to be awesome. And it's probably going to do well too. I mean, he has 3 unreal tight ends. So I'm excited for that.
So I talked to Butch. I think there's
Yeah.
got to be another move, right? Like, like trading Kelsey to a contender. Butch may contend himself, but trading Kelsey to a contender now is
I
his
mean, if
best
only
move.
there was another Branscombe who kind of needs help at tight end.
I know, I know. I mean,
Interesting.
it makes
Interesting.
it makes a ton of sense. He's got 2 of the best young tight end prospects the NFL has ever seen.
Yeah.
Like you've got Kelsey who may have like one or two more good years left.
Yeah.
Like
Then he's
he
going to go
needs to
off and be
ship.
Mr. Swift, and more power to him.
Yeah, and we'll see. It just it's you go on with Butch, but yeah, definitely a head scratcher at number one.
I think, well, I mean, best available, right? I mean, I don't know. It was interesting looking at everyone's roster, and I don't. Maybe this is just a testament to the dynasty format and the fact that everyone in this league takes it, seriously and puts some pride into it. Um, but there's good rosters here. I mean, I don't know that I look at anyone's roster and I think it's an absolute dumpster fire. Like you can kind of see what people are building. So I don't know. In Butch's case, he's got Lamar, he's got some pieces. Maybe it was and Brock is a lights out prospect. So yeah, maybe it makes perfect sense for him to move him again. Butch not the biggest trader. Has he made a trade yet in our league?
He has lost a bet that resulted in a trade, but
So
I don't
no.
know. I don't
Yeah.
know that he's made an official trade yet.
Wait, what bet did he lose to make a
Uh,
trade? And what was the
we
trade?
we bet Butch and I when ECU played Gardner Webb
Uh huh.
put a future fourth rounder on the outcome. I
Ah, so
think it
no
was
players.
I think it was against the spread. Um, but I own the rights to swap a fourth round pick with Butch in 2026. And I think that's the only transaction Butch has made.
So technically, he hasn't made a trade yet.
He has not made a
You could
trade.
still decide not to exercise that.
I could,
The
yes.
streak could live on. I think you
It
should
could.
on principle, but yeah. So you know what? Yes, I would love to see Butch throw his hat in the trade ring. Maybe Mr. Kelsey moves elsewhere, but I don't dislike the Brock Bowers pick. I mean, I think sometimes if somebody I thought about it, and contrary to what you seem to think about my team, I really like my tight end room. And yeah, when you have a prospect like that, you just pull the trigger, and he probably talked to your dad a little bit, and there he went. But I liked Butch's draft, and I also learned not to pick against him last year. So I'm gonna leave Marky Mark last. I think. Sorry,
So
filters.
I gave Butch a B minus because while it doesn't make sense with his roster construction, the Brock Bowers pick is a great pick for like
Yeah,
you just added maybe like who could be an unbelievable tight end. And I really liked what he did after that with Adonai Mitchell and Jermaine Burton.
yeah,
Um, I'm not a huge Estimate fan. Devin Leary, I don't know that he sticks, and Ryan Flournoy might be made up. But the top three I really think can be a major positive for him. So I gave him a B minus. But I do think that like if he wants to capitalize on it, like he's got an interesting wide receiver and running back room. If he could, add some veteran depth or future picks for Travis Kelsey, I would move Travis Kelsey because he's
yeah,
I mean, Laporta set records last year. Brock
yeah.
Bowers is, even though he went to Vegas, he's like one of the best tight end prospects we've seen forever. So I think that he, has some moves to be made, and I would encourage him to explore them. Um, because
I can get behind that.
I mean, if he does that, then he automatically vaults up into like an A minus. All right, so for the 10th and final pick we have, I will take Filch. Um, so I gave him a C plus just because I don't know what Rasheen Ali is. Jaheim Bell, sure. I actually don't hate Ben Sinnott. So it's more, I think that everybody else really did a really nice job this year on addressing the needs that they had. Ben Sinnott and Theo Johnson are guys that could solve his tight end problem. They
Yeah.
are two dynamic, like young guys who are hyped up, especially with his draft improves because Waller retired in New York. Like, Theo Johnson has a clear path to being the starter there. And if he is, Daniel Jones is always thrown to the tight ends. So,
Hmm.
if Mark ultimately, like, he only had four picks, he didn't have anything until the third round. So if he solves his tight end problem, which has been a problem for like 4 years, then great. Like if any of us fill one, maybe two holes in our starting lineup, that's a
What else can
successful
you ask
draft.
for?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all
100%.
you need. So if Ben
I
Sinnott
thought I thought Mark did have a good draft, and I did try to account for how many picks everyone had. I think he
and
did
where the
do a lot,
picks and
and
where the
where they
picks
were. I mean,
were,
no picks in the first two rounds. Like,
it's
yeah, I
tough.
think he again the Miles Sanders trade just looms. But
It
so no disrespect, Filch. I thought it was a good draft. Um, just too little capital to work with.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, listen, I thought that he did. It's fine. I mean, if you're gonna roll the dice with some tight ends, you might as well roll the dice with some tight ends, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
um,
one
yeah.
hundred
Well, I
percent.
mean, we're like similarly on the same page with like kind of what we had on that. So that was cool to see. Um, I thought the draft got a major upgrade with this year's style. We
Yeah,
saw you think about like, when you're trading, like trades are tough in like a regular situation because like it's just so fast, right? But we had one, two, three, four, five, six trades during the draft this year, which we've never had more than I think one in the draft in the past. And those were just because it was getting late and Dan didn't want to hang out and do his last two picks. So he sold them to me for like $10 a fab. So I thought it was a major upgrade. We're all busy and like our lives are crazy and everything. So like being able to kind of like take it at our own pace was an awesome way to do that. And I think it's going to lead to like really making some thoughtful picks going forward. So I was pumped about
yeah,
that.
yeah. It felt like a big upgrade. It
Yeah.
was a good draft. I was really going back through and like looking at everything. I don't know. It's just like pretty proud of everybody. Like this was it's well done. It's go everyone. Everybody
Yeah.
wins.
Well, and I was pumped because one, two, three of those trades didn't even involve me, which is
Right.
awesome. Look, the more trades we can get like that, the better. Um, but no, I love
That's a
this.
solid 50%.
Yeah.
I don't
Let's bring in
remember
the
what
I think
ratio we
I think
were
it was
working with
listed
for
at
you,
like
but
96. So it's
yeah. So
definitely
all
been
right, so
brought
50 is
down.
driving that down a little bit.
No, man, it's awesome. This league has far and away overtaken. I mean, it is my favorite league, and it's not close. And like, I cannot get enough of this dynasty league, and I'm really excited to see how the trial with the divisions goes this year. So
Am I the only person who started thinking about trading outside of my division because that's a fun wrinkle.
no, no, no. So
Um,
I talked to Lee about that. Like,
that's a
I
very fun wrinkle.
do I want to trade any decent players to like fringe, like somebody that I think isn't that great in my division so that they can beat somebody that is a division rival? I've
Yeah,
definitely thought about that. Would I be more apt to trading a good player out of division, such as Justin Herbert or Keenan Allen? Absolutely. I don't want to keep them in my division. So it is a wrinkle. It is cool. So like, the number 3 seed will play the 2 seed in the opposite division and
yeah.
so on. And then the 1 seed will be on that side too. So um I think that it has the potential to be some cool division rivalries for a
So
couple
wait,
of years.
we're doing 1 and 3 with two from the opposite division on each
Yes.
side. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. And I'll change that by hand if I need to at the
Hmm.
end. But yeah, I think that'll be a cool wrinkle and can lead to some cool like, hey, like maybe teams face off 2 years in a row in the first round there, and like, and it really gives you incentive to go for winning that division. I mean, you get that first
Yeah,
round bye, and like now it's like, oh, like the top three get first round buys. No, it's only the top two. So you got to really battle it
yeah.
out. I think it'll be
It's gonna be
awesome.
awesome. It's gonna
Yeah,
be great.
I'm pumped. Well, we got 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna say we wrap it up. It's 10 o'clock over here. Um, I can't wait. Remember to get your keepers in, and I will get this posted probably in a couple days. We're going down to Augusta to get a bunch of stuff out of the house tomorrow before we close on there. So, um, love you guys, and I cannot wait for the 2024 fantasy season. Comeback player of the year right here. Can't wait. I'm ready for action. the wounds have healed, but there's still scars. So just know that I'm coming for every last one of y'all this year. Um, and I look forward to it. All right, love you guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.